The sea of smiles you see here is the result of an idea born in the small town of Kersley, British Columbia.
What we decided to do was to give my brothers the same opportunity that I had for that connection in community and reintroduce the Canadian people to their veterans.
Reintroducing Canadian people to their veterans, talking about what it's like for these young men and women who come home from places like the Balkans and Afghanistan, talking about the challenges they face as they try and share their stories and make sense of civilian life again.
We needed to do something to make that happen, and I think if we would have thought of all the details and all of what it really would take, then maybe we would have been scared off. But we just had the big picture in mind. All we needed to do was take the first step.
Paul and Terry Nichols took that first step and approximately 9 million more as they made their way across Canada on horseback. In 7 months, they took the Communities for Veterans Foundation, an awareness campaign, across 10 provinces. At each stop, they trained veterans in the art of horse handling and riding. Veterans like Bill Kerr, an Afghan war vet who is also a triple amputee after surviving an IED attack.
Our crew packed up and went to his place, and we spent 5 hours with his family, went through what we needed to do with our lesson and used my horse Skip and had him up and riding, and it went so well, and he was so proud, very emotional, and he told us that we gave him his legs back.
Like Bill, they gave many young veterans their voice and life back. After Terry trained them, Paul would then ride into town with them so that their communities could meet them and get to know them all over again.
The power of the ride is that it's so many stories come together. So I had 361 Canadian veterans that joined me in the saddle through their own communities. We created discussion, we created awareness, and that, it created change.
They have over 4,000 fans on Facebook, and there's over 1,000 pictures on here, each with their own special little story attached to them. And as you scroll through all of this content, a larger story unfurls, the untold stories of all those veterans that are finally finding a voice.
To see the way that the military community rallied around me. 8 Wing opened up. We had just amazing regional people that laid out my trail for me and prepared lunches, dropped off feed for horses. We had water that was staged for us. And the veteran community, they came out with, there was dozens of Canadian veterans on Harleys that just tucked in behind my horses as we rode through Trenton. And it was, I realized that the ride was bigger than me.
The ride sparked conversations across Canada. Conversations about who we talk about as veterans in the contemporary sense. Conversations about how we address veteran issues like PTSD.
I think that the closer that we got, for myself anyways, the closer we got to St. John's, the more we felt like we had just started something. That we had lit these little fires all across Canada.
That's where we rode the Confederation Trail through Prince Edward Island.
Fires they're hoping to tend to now that the ride is over with.
That's what they called their
Back home in Kersley, Paul and Terry are making sense of the ride and the impact that it's had on the veteran community and civilians alike.
It was really an incredible experience. We gave them their parade. It was, people were lining the sidewalks, we had cameras, we had newspapers, and it was, for someone who feels lost or for someone who's struggling, to get that sort of recognition in community, for many of them, it was a life-changing experience.
Stay tuned for next week's episode of Go in the Cariboo for part 2 of the story, where we talk about what's next for the Communities for Veterans Foundation.